Let's go a little rotating in our seat for a second just to get our attention into our spines. Feel free to have your legs folded under you or crossed in front of you or in a comfortable position, whatever that is. And start to walk your hands around a little bit. You might push or leverage a little more twist with your hands one way or another. And say when you turn to face left the next time, can you lift the left arm, the back arm, and side bend towards the right a little? And then release that left hand back and lift the right arm. So we're still facing left and side bending sort of back to the left and then forward to the right, back and forth a couple times. So it's a big diagonal sort of a rotation to face left and then a diagonal side bend left to right. And like 3 times each way as you like. And then switch the turn so you face to the right and lift your right arm and side bend forward to the left and right, back and forth there, facing right. And you're welcome to consider it more of a lift of the, say, when you lean back to the right, you're lifting your left ribs up rather than collapsing the right ribs. Or when you side bend forward to the left, you're lifting your right ribs more than left ribs just collapsing. And if you wanted to pause in any of those things because they feel good, feel free, of course. Otherwise, when you're done, stay upright and rotate like a weather vane left and right, arms wide. Good. And then set your hands at your heart. Shrug your shoulders in circles. Release your neck and jaw. And then rest in a seat with your eyes closed. Palms resting against each other. Arms resting even through the palms against each other. Take some steady breaths. Let yourself exhale a little deeper, so you have room for more inhale. And try taking 5 breaths where you're simply narrating to yourself, breathing in, breathing out as those things are happening. Then choose something to dedicate your practice to. It's worthy of this work. It deserves dedication. And we'll chant 3 ohms. Inhale. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Squeeze as much air out as you can, and then inhale again through your nose as deeply as you can. And exhale. And release your hands and open your eyes. Let's come out of our seats and onto our backs. So just rock onto your back and extend your legs towards your ceiling, towards the sky. Circle your ankles, holding behind your thighs. And draw your knees to your chest and curl your nose up to your knees so you're rounded in an egg shape. Rock a little there. Then unfurl long on the ground, extending your legs, long arms overhead on the ground, and reach in a big line there. Side bend into a crescent shape on the ground, so your heels might walk to one side, shoulders to that same side, so you reach your arms off in that crescent shape. And then side bend to the other side. And come back to center. And tuck your knees back into your chest in the egg shape. And then keep that egg shaped in the back, but unfurl to a U shape, arms up, legs up. Clasp your hands behind your head. And we're going to do little pulses, trying to lift our pelvis straight up through the legs. So not swinging the legs overhead at all. Keep the legs straight to the sky as though your legs are against a wall and you're sliding your legs up that wall. So trying to lift your pelvis, release, lift your pelvis, release. Try and reach the legs up the wall without any swinging the legs over the chest or even beyond the belly. Now there may not be almost any movement. It doesn't matter. The core is working really hard to try and lift those legs straight up that wall. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Maybe it's fast. Maybe it's like pulse, relax, pulse, relax, pulse, relax, pulse, relax, pulse, relax, engage, relax. Give it 3 more. Relax, engage, relax, engage, relax. Relax all the way, hugging your knees to your chest, wide to the shoulders. Circle your ankles and flatten your spine on the ground if you can. Shoulder blades onto the ground. Elbows maybe even on the ground. Then extend your right leg on the ground and draw your left knee into your right hand. Send your left arm out wide and just a gentle encouragement of the twist, the pelvis to the swiveling to the right as your left arm reaches left. So your right hand's on your left knee, pulling it over the pelvis. And then switch sides, extend your left leg, grab your other knee, swing it over the pelvis to the left. Yes, to the left as your right arm reaches right. And then come back to center and step your feet to the floor. Bring your arms alongside your hips and rise your pelvis into bridge pose. In bridge, can you bend your elbows so they're at right angles? The upper arms are on the ground, the forearms are perpendicular to the ground. Push those elbows and those shoulders into the ground from there. So try and open your collarbones a little more. One more breath there. Activate your hamstrings and glutes. Go ahead and roll your pelvis back down, hug your knees back into the chest, egg shape. Then U shape. Again, keeping in the U shape, clasp your hands behind your head. Now, not only lifting the pelvis, but trying to rotate it as well. So you might lift the pelvis, swivel it left and right, and then drop. And then lift the pelvis, swivel it left and right, and then drop. Lift, swivel, and drop. Give it several more of these. If you're not finding it interesting enough, you might bring your arms alongside your hips and leave your head on the ground and try and do the same thing. Your legs are against an imaginary wall. Rise your pelvis up, swivel, and drop. It's not the easiest thing. That's why we're doing it. Give it a couple more if you're still going. And then release and step your feet wider than your mat if you have a mat, or wider than your hips, and let your knees go knock-kneed. Take your arms up and drape them over your chest and rest in that midline hug for a couple breaths, a few breaths. Switch the cross of your arms just for symmetry there. A couple more breaths. And leave your arms, send your arms wide in a T shape on the ground, and keeping your feet wide, swivel your knees left and right. So your windshield wipering those shins. Hips may follow, so you swivel your knees left, your right hip really lifts off the ground, and swivel your knees right. Your left hip swivels off the ground. You arch your low back if you like. And then extend your legs one more time on the ground long, your arms one more time along your ears. So just a big line stretching long. Point your toes, wiggle your fingers, roll your wrists, roll your ankles if you like. And one last thing, take your left leg up, clasp your hands behind your leg, and extend your left leg to the sky in a capital L kind of shape, or a T shape really, the left upside down T with your left leg straight to the sky, your right leg along the ground, your chest along the ground. Gently pull that leg towards your chest any amount, keeping the leg straight for a hamstring stretch. Do try and root the hip socket though, root the leg into the hip socket, so you're actually hugging the left thigh bone down as you're pulling the chest or the leg towards your chest, any amount. Keeping the leg straight, topple it over to the right, supporting it with your right hand, send your left arm rather wide to the left. So you now are straight-legged swivel of the hips. Any amount. You know, you can hold the leg up with your right hand, any amount, or let it fall to the ground, what feels safe for you. Go the other way with that same leg. Take the left leg off to the left, holding it with your left hand, your right arm wide. You could support it again with your left hand so it doesn't fall all the way to the floor. But do try and externally rotate the leg completely. So the kneecap is trying to head towards, turning towards the ground. You're trying to show the back of your thigh to the ceiling. It's not going to happen, but you're kind of showing, you're trying to turn your toes to the ground and the heel towards the ceiling. Another breath there. Good, release that and switch legs now, right? Okay, so Kim, I saw you were doing a twist the other way, but that's okay. So now I'm on the right leg. That whole thing was on the left leg to the sky, left leg to the right, left leg to the left. Now it's the right leg to the sky. So whatever sequence you did on the other side, do it here. In any case, starting probably with that capital T shape upside down, right leg straight to the sky, left leg long along the ground, chest along the ground. Again, hugging the right thigh bone into the hip socket as you pull the legs somewhat towards your chest. So hugging meaning the muscles in your right leg and hip hug the thigh bone down, nestle the thigh bone into the hip socket. You might even explore how externally, internally rotating the thigh bone can settle that thigh bone into the hip socket any better. And the second shape I went to is diving the right leg to the left, right arm wide, so you're swiveling your hips. But you already did that, Kim, so I don't know what the other side was for you. Yes, okay. Give it another breath or two. And then bring that leg to the center and back off to the right now, or whatever other side you did on the other side. Again, the leg can be supported by your arms, whatever way is needed here. Doesn't have to go to the floor. Again, though, if you've got this right leg open wide to the right, turn the kneecap towards the ground, the heel towards the ceiling. full external rotation of that leg, whatever that looks like for you. Bring it back to center. Hug both knees back into the chest. Curl up your nose towards your knees. Round out your back again. Maybe you wrap your forearms around your knees and hug tighter into the forearms. So you're really squeezing yourself into the smallest space, your knees towards your chest as best you can. Then holding that strong, push your knees against your forearms to try and rise your shoulders off the ground and your pelvis anymore. So you're trying to almost pull yourself to the ceiling by hugging your knees like they're going to be free from gravity and pull you to the sky, if that makes sense. In this way, we're leveraging a big rounding spine and a stretch in the back. Good, release that. One more bridge pose, I lied. We're gonna do one more pose. Bridge pose, just to reverse it. And from this bridge, if you're interested, stepping your feet together, take your left knee to your chest and extend your left leg straight up in a one-legged bridge. Pause there for a couple of breaths. Need a strong right thigh and a strong right glute and hamstring all at the same time. Good, bend your left knee, step it to the floor, switch sides, extend your right leg. Right thigh engaged, right hamstring engaged. Right glute engaged. I'm sorry, left. All of that on the left leg is what I meant. I tend to get a hamstring cramp here, so this is perfect. And then bend your right knee, step it to the floor, and release your pelvis back down. And then grab behind your thighs, and as you like, rock front to back on your spine. Tailbone to shoulder blades. You might go all the way back to a plow type pose and then all the way up to a seated pose. When you come up the next time, find an upright seat. Swivel your legs around. Find your way to a hands and knees position. Turn your toes under in the back, reach your hips back towards your heels, stretch your arms long, stretch those calves and Achilles tendons there. Make sure you can see me better. Maybe. Now, with this position, a pouncing type position, looking forward, a little launch to plank pose. Go back to the pouncing position, hips back, toes turned under, knees down. Launch to plank. Give it one more. Bend knees, hips back, short prostration with pouncing type position, and then launch to a plank pose. Stay in plank if you can. Swivel your heels to the left and swing your right arm up into a big circle. We'll go to the sky with the right arm up and then down. We're doing side plank vinyasa here. Right hand down, swing your left arm forward as you swivel your heels to the right. So we'll do side plank, doing circles, slow circles now with the arms. And if this is overdoing it for you off the bat here, feel free to drop a knee. So you swing the arm in a circle and you go to plank and then drop a knee. Right? So obviously when you go to the left hand, the left knee is down. When you go to the right hand, the right knee is down. Feel free to do so, or plank without the knee down. And refrain from any judgment of yourself, whether you chose one or the other. Give it one more on each side. I think we started with the right arm, so the left arm is the last one, and then go back to down dog. And find your pedaling heels down dog practice here. And as you pedal your heels, feel free to swivel your knees and your hips. So when you bend your left knee, you really swivel your right hip towards the sky, your left hip towards the ground. When you bend your right knee, your left hip reaches towards the sky, your right hip towards the ground. Try to keep strong in those arms. Plugging into fingertips. Elbow points trying to turn towards the ground. Come back to neutral down dog and pause there. Take 3 giant breaths here. Inhale and exhale through your mouth. Inhale. Clear out the system. Inhale. All the breath out. Walk your hands back to your feet at the back of your mat in a forward bend. Sway left and right. Hang your head. Let the back of your neck go long. Take your hands just under your kneecaps. Lift your heart halfway. Inhale. Forward fold. Exhale. Back and forth. Half forward bend to forward bend. Inhale. Exhale. Take your time now. 3 more on your own timing. Your long inhales, your long exhales. Try to not hurry through this. Try not to let your mind hurry your body. Imagine slower moving might actually connect you better, might warm you up, might connect you into your body even more so than faster moving at this time. After your three rounds of that, come up to your half forward bend again and stay in it. Try to shrug your shoulders to your ears and then up to the ceiling as you keep your spine nice and long. And soften your knees and hug your hamstrings onto the backs of your legs. If you bend your knees slightly, imagine activating those hamstrings stronger in the backs of the legs. See if that supports your whole spine. Engage your belly and reach your arms wide in a T shape or facing the floor, a soaring shape. Breathe deep there. Hold and squeeze your shoulder blades together more so. Lift those shoulders to the sky even as your heart is long. Out of your hips. Back of the neck long. Stay in this forward bend or half forward bend for another couple breaths. On your next inhale, bend your knees, swing your hands down by your hips and reach up into chair pose. Take your hands to your heart and chair. Lean into your right foot and lift your left heel under your buttocks, just balancing in chair with one leg up. Flamingo style here. Then step your left foot to the floor, shift your weight to that, and lift your right heel up into your buttock. You might point your right toes just to flex the top of the ankle. Step your right foot to the floor, lift your left, same thing. Try and stay steady. You're not leaning a bunch to the right to get that weight over. Stand like sort of steady over the left foot as you bring your right heel up. Then step your right foot to the ground and dive up, stand up, reach up. Lift your heart and maybe a little back bend. Keep your arms up, look up. And then take your hands down the midline and interlace your fingers and send your palms down with those interlaced fingers. Yeah. And then sweep the palms to face forward and overhead. Inhale. Lift your heart here. Side bend left and right. Lift your left ribs, then your right ribs. I'll just face you to be a little more clear what's going on here. Good. Stay there. I'm just going to get the screen a little more into my hands. Yeah, so we're here. Go off to the left. Side bend to the left. See if you can lift your left foot off to the left. Engage your left waist, your left hip. Lift your right ribs up off your right hip. Get longer on the right side as you squeeze more in the left. The left toes could be on the ground if that's more helpful. Good. Drop your left foot. Release your arms down before we go to the other side. Shrug your shoulders in circles. Go overhead with the arms, palms together. Now, as you bring your hands down, interlace the opposite way. The other first finger goes on top. Send your palms down, forward to your heart, and then up overhead. Other first fingers on top now. Side bend left and right for a moment. And pause in your side bend to the right the next time. Engage your belly. Try and float your right foot off the ground, squeezing the right waist as you lift your left ribs more. Balancing on your left foot. Lift the foot on the inside of that side bend. Yep. One more breath. Good. Step your right foot down. Release your arms down. Shrug your shoulders out. From this shrugging, go ahead and undulate a little more deeply. Feel free to start to round and send your arms up and then back, and then bend your knees and just let this turn into a flamingo swan. I don't know what this is. What bird? Choose one. Or some other animal. If you want to go down to the floor, right? So as much as I'm not that excited for fall to come, the leaves falling, imagine you're throwing leaves in a joyous manner here. Sweeping them towards each other, towards people, towards a friend in front of you. Give it one more sweep and down and up. As you go up the next time, look up and lift your heart a little back bend. And then set your hands down the midline and forward fold. You're at the back of your mat, of course, so hang out in your forward bend at the back of your mat. Let go of the back of your neck completely. Soften your knees and dive back up. Standing here, inhale. Now, hands to your heart. We're going to lift the right leg and we're going to step forward into a lunge. So step forward into a lunge. And our arms will go back and we'll lift our hearts here. So this is an inhale. And then we'll exhale, step back to the back of the mat. Yeah? Lift your left knee. Step forward, arms go back. Inhale. Exhale, step back. This is the movement. We'll inhale forward. Exhale, push off and back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Feel free to make them longer lunges if it's available. Inhale. Exhale. Hard to step back sometimes, yeah? Pushing off. You really got to build that strength. Pushing off. Good. Give it one more on each side. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Good. Arms overhead. Inhale and forward fold. Walk your hands forward to a down dog. From here, go to plank. From your plank now, can you bend your right knee and just tap the knee to the ground? Left leg stays in plank and then straighten your right knee back up. Bend your left knee, tap the knee to the ground, straighten back up. Back and forth, exhale, right knee touches, inhale, back up. Exhale, left knee touches, inhale, back up, back and forth. 3 more times on each side if you can. Patience. Last one on each side for me. Then lower yourself all the way to your belly. Once you're on your belly, extend your legs, put the tops of the feet on the ground. Lift your heart, gentle low cobra. Hands can be resting on the ground, but not pushing. Engage your belly so you lengthen your tailbone towards the heels. Pause here or float your hands off the ground for any more. Stay another breath, squeezing the back body. Take a rest. Put your forehead on the backs of the hands, bending your knees and rocking your hips and shins. And extend your legs. Leave your forearms where they are and lift your heart there. So your forearms are forward a little bit and you're lifting your heart. Engage your belly there. So there's a little more difference there. It's harder, it's more length in the upper body and the back neck maybe. It's more of a Sphinx type pose here. Keep your belly hugging into your back though. Keep your feet on the ground. Imagine there's just a gentle lift of the heart and a hugging of the ground with the forearms at the same time. So there's undersides of your armpits are kind of engaged. Or I should say the armpits. The armpits are already the undersides. So there's maybe a hollowing out of the armpits, I should say, and the tendons of the pec muscles going up to the front shoulders and the tendons of the lat muscles going to the back shoulders are engaged. If those are lats, maybe they're triceps. Go ahead and rest. Put your forehead down. Bend your knees, rock your hips and shins left and right. Keep your knees bent, fly your arms back by your hips, touch the forehead to the ground, shrug your shoulders to your ears and up to the sky, float your arms as best you can towards the sky, flex your ankles, engage your hamstrings and glutes, then lift your heart. Not grabbing your ankles, just keep those knees bent and push your feet to the sky as you lift your shoulders up to the sky. Another breath. Can you elongate the front body? Your knees reach away from your collarbones. One more breath. And take a rest in long prostration. Your arms way out along the ground, your legs long. Stretch as long as you can. Your palms may face the ceiling. Set your hands by your mid-ribs, turn your toes under, find plank pose or hands and knees. And then push back to down dog. Pedal your knees. Take your right leg high in the air on an inhale. Step it forward between your hands on the exhale. Swivel your left heel down and sweep your arms up into warrior one. So warrior one now facing the lunging knee. Engage your left inner thigh and root your outer left foot towards the ground. So a straighter, longer left leg. Even if it's already nice and straight and long. Good. Can you straighten your elbows anymore? Turn your palms to face behind you. Straighten your elbows anymore and reach up and shrug your shoulders a little down your back at the same time. Good, Ashton. Yep. Take your hands to your heart. Swivel your left heel up over its toes. So you're in a lunge. Twist your chest to the right. Lean forward and put your left elbow on your right knee for a revolved side angle pose. Give it one more breath there. Now stay in the forward lean, but unrevolve it. So you're just facing forward with your hands at your heart. Extend your arms in a line away from your left heel, so you're in a diagonal reach. Can you lean out over your right leg and lift your left into warrior three right there? Now from warrior three, we're actually going to walk our arms. Take your left hand back by your left hip as your right arm is forward, and then reverse them. Scissor the arms. Right arm back by the right hip as the left arm is forward. Scissor the arms forward and back in your warrior three, balanced on your right leg. Balance practice, obviously. Glue your eyes to one spot, not me. Walk the arms in your warrior three. 2 more times on each side. And then stand up at the front of your mat. Very nice. March your legs out. Take your hands to your hips, lift your right knee. Now with the right knee, since we just did all that standing on the right leg, lift your right knee and sweep the right knee left and right. Yeah, so here's what it looks like in the mirror. Let your right foot follow the knee. Good, yes. So we're internally or externally rotating that right thigh bone. Good. Sweep it out wide to the right and place your right foot now on your inner left calf for tree pose on the left leg. Take your arms up high. Just for an interesting version of this pose, clasp your hands behind your head, open your elbows wide, see if you can lift your heart up. A little bit of back bend in tree. Just experiment. What does your pelvis do? How can you engage your belly, stabilize your pelvis as you lift your heart up? That's not, if you're already challenged with tree just by having your arms up, that's fine. Give it one more breath in your tree pose. Very nice. Release and step your right foot back as you go into a deep lunge. Place your hands around your left foot and step your left foot back, down dog. Pedal your heels. Forward to plank. Slowly lower to the ground. Extend your legs. Lift your heart and your legs. Shalabhasana. Lengthen spine, lengthen legs. Reach your arms back and shrug your shoulders up. Shalabhasana, lifting everything off the ground you can in a long line. Well, a long curved back bending line. One more breath. Think of the inner thighs as reaching up. Very good. Rest. Anything you need to do, rocking your hips left and right. Release your legs, place your hands, push up to plank or hands and knees, back to down dog. Pedal your heels. Take that left leg high in the air, inhale. Step it forward, exhale. Back heel comes down, warrior one pose, inhale. In your warrior one, again, engage your inner right thigh and root the outer right foot, straighten that right knee anymore. Nice strong right leg, and then root your left thigh bone into your hip socket. That'll help square your hips a little bit to the front. Your right hip may be a little behind the left, that's fine. Good, swivel your right heel up over its toes. Hands to your heart, turn your chest left. Revolved side angle, right elbow over the left knee. Forward bend. That right heel is your rudder in this pose, especially your right leg. So keep that right heel straight over its toes and reaching straight back from the right hip. The more you're reaching with the right leg, the stronger that rudder is, the more you can guide your chest to be straight forward. One more breath. Good. Turn to the ground, unrevolve it, take your arms into that diagonal reach. This left leg's getting some work, and that's good. Slowly, can you peel the right leg off the ground, warrior three. Standing tall on the left leg with the right leg up. Then swim your left hand back in a swimming action. Walk your arms now. Right arm back, left arm forward, left arm back, right arm forward. Breathe and be patient. If you fall over several times, that's how many times it takes to find this practice. And that's what it takes. Whatever times, whatever amount. Looking for different muscles. It's a search sometimes just to find the muscles that will stabilize you. Give it one more on each side. And just stand up. Step down. Good. March your knees out, hands on your hips. Then standing on your right leg, lift your left knee. Swim your left knee left and right with your left foot trailing the knee. Or rather, this is the mirror. You got it though. Good. This also a balanced practice, right? It could be, you just have to step out of it many times. That's okay. Take the left knee as wide as you can. Place the left foot on the inner right calf. Tree pose, arms go up if you like. Stay in tree a couple more breaths. If you want to do a different arm positioning, like clasping your hands, maybe you clasp the awkward way, the other first finger on top. Notice how just that shift of other first finger on top may change your balance entirely. or just a sense of security is lost if those hands are clasped in the awkward way. Plug into the right heel, lengthen your low back out of it. Root your sitting bones to the right heel as you lengthen your heart up to the sky. Not too different in some ways from that Shalabhasana on the belly. Tailbone to heels, heart lifting and arching. Last breath in your tree. Take your left knee up, release your arms, step back with the left leg, deep lunge. Hands around the right foot, step your right leg back, down dog. Through plank and a vinyasa now of your choice. If you want to go to up dog or another Shalabhasana or another cobra, any back bend that you like. Once you're done there, back to down dog. Propel your heels. Can we do 3 long, big inhales and exhales in our down dog again? Inhale, exhale through your mouth. Good. Take your right knee forward behind your right wrist for pigeon pose. If you're not doing pigeon with your leg under you like this, you want to do thread the needle on your back, that's fine. If you're in pigeon with your right leg forward, maybe you start with a lengthening of your spine. Lift your heart up, stretching the front left hip flexor there by lifting your heart up and pushing the left, squeezing the knees towards each other, scissoring them a little bit, squeezing the ground with your knees to lengthen up. Find possibly a balance here on your knees. Now, I can't see everyone, especially Mike and Janet, so depending on where you are with your balance here, some of you may take your arms up and go for a big pigeon pose back bend here. If that's not safe, your hands may rest on your thigh or foot or on the ground next to you, lifting your heart. Try to keep your hips square. Roll your right hip back again, your right thigh bone back into the right hip socket, your left hip a little forward as you squeeze the knees together. One more breath in this upright version of pigeon. And then forward bend with long spine, tailbone. So try and keep that length that you just did in the upright version. Reach it out long over that right shin bone for pigeon on the first side here, and stay there for a few breaths, several breaths. Yeah. And as you find possible deepening in this right hip socket as it relaxes or opens up more, you may want to walk your left knee back another half an inch or 2 inches, right? So your left leg may help, may decide it has a little more space, right? So in a way, you're still stretching the front left hip flexor, or you're still finding length in that left side. Now keep just a hint of energy rooting your right sitting bone back towards your left heel to stabilize there. Last breath in this pigeon or this shape of pigeon. We'll do a third shape in our pigeon shape here. So again, if you're on thread the needle pose, you'll find an alternate version of this, or you can, I think you'll have to find an alternate version. What we're doing on pigeon though, is coming up to your forearms. So your left forearm crosses the short edge of your mat. I'll turn towards you to be clear about that. So as a mirror, your right knee is forward, your left forearm goes across, your right hand will take the right thigh and turn your chest open to the right as you're reaching your left leg long behind you. Yeah. So I'm going to turn to my right as I extend my left leg long, and I just, here's energetically, if I don't bring it to mind, I don't notice it, the length between the left big toe, up the inseam of the leg, through my tailbone and up my spine, all the way through the crown of my head. That's a spiral that's happening slow along the entire length of that line. Can you finish that spiral? Meaning the crown of the head is turning even as the toe is pushing into the ground. The big toe, left big toe is pushing into the ground. So both ends of the spiral are engaged or energized. If you elongate that line, one more breath, elongate that line, see if there's any more rotation to happen. Release that, lean onto your right hip, swing your left leg around to the front. And if you were in your reclined thread the needle pose, come on up out of it. Extend your right leg in front of you, place your left foot over the outer right thigh. Hug your left knee with your right elbow and twist to the left. Left hand goes behind your hip, tall spine. Look over your left shoulder. Activate your right leg. Right toes pull back, right hip and heel root into the ground. Right thigh bone hugs into the hip socket. One more breath there. Good, go ahead and release that and take your left foot now outside your left hip. See if you can sit with your left leg long alongside your left hip. If that's not a happy place, it may be that you grab a block or a blanket or something to sit up on so you can stream this left leg. My foot's outside my hip. It's not tucked underneath my hip. Yeah. And then my right foot will go in and touch my inner left thigh. So it's going to be like this. Yeah. Then I'm going to turn my chest to the right with my left hand on my right knee, tall spine. Feel free to lift your left hip out of that left heel. Rotate your hips as you like to turn to the right as you lengthen your spine. Now with this pose, turn your head back to look over your left shoulder to stretch the neck, the right neck, the back of the neck. So you're turning your chest right and your eyes are going left down to the left knee. And then the final piece of this pose might be turning your eyes into the right corners of your eye sockets. Even as your head's turned left, your chest is turned right. So a zigzag in the whole body there. Uncross your eyes and come out of that. And extend your legs in front of you and rock your knees left and right. And a simple bent knee forward bend, bend your knees, lengthen your spine, out over your legs, fold towards your bent knees, and just hang in your forward bending bent knees there. And then if you want, walk your heels further out for more forward bend if you want to go for a little more lengthening. Notice how as you're straightening your knees, your low back gets more stretch, more elongating. Right? The more straight you go with your knees, the more your hamstrings pull on your low back, basically, or pull on your pelvis to go the opposite way from your low back. Give it 2 more breaths there. Gently lift your chest back up. Swing your legs around, maybe a non-habitual direction, and go to down dog. And if you want, through vinyasa of choice. Pedal your heels once your down dog is reset. And step your left knee behind your left wrist for pigeon on this side. Elongating your right leg, pointing your right toes, lengthening up your spine. If you want to scissor your knees together, play with being upright for a moment, even if it's a challenge and you're more forward bent than you'd like to be, or than it looks like I am, or whatever. Walking your hands up, lifting your heart, engaging your belly to reach your tailbone a little bit towards the ground. So you have this pelvic tilt, actually somewhat countering the tendency to just completely let the low back get its compression and have no back bend in the upper back, right? So reducing low back bend, lifting to get more upper back bend. pausing here, either hands holding you where you are, or as you're possibly balanced over your legs, arms go up. Now again, scissoring the knees together helps you find purchase on the ground for balance. You're hugging your left thigh bone into the hip socket, squaring your right hip forward. That all kind of helps your balance find itself if that's where you're at. Give it 2 more breaths, just settle here into this challenge. When you're ready, release into forward bend, but long, keeping the nice long spine as you go, lengthening out the low back through the heart and forward fold over that left shin, or again, into your thread the needle on your back. And I'm pretty sure even those who are, I always do this, it's the second side that I show all the modifications I talked about in the first side. Those of you who may be watching the video, this is the thread the needle if you're on your back. I mean those watching the recording, those who are already in the class, I'm trusting they already know what they're doing. If you're not familiar, thread the needle looks like this. Whatever pose you've chosen, pause there for another couple breaths. Or give yourself breathing in, breathing out directions so your mind is not running off to do other things. We'll do this rotation on this side again now. So put your right forearm across the short edge of your mat. Take your left hand, put it on your outer left thigh, rotate your chest to face left, and elongate the line from the inner right leg up through the back of the neck to the crown of the head. Rotate around that line. Big toe through the crown of the head like you're shining a spotlight wherever the crown of the head is pointing. So there's energy with that spotlight. There's energy continuing beyond the crown of your head. One more breath in this lengthening, rotating spiral. Awesome. Release that. Lean into your left hip. Swing your right leg around to the front. Then extend your left leg straight. Stepping your right foot over the left knee to the left side of the left leg. Right hand behind your back. Your left arm wraps around the right knee. Turn to the right in a nice tall spine. Just plug in. Again, left thigh bone hugs into the hip socket, toes pull back, and rooting left sitting bone as much as the right. And left heel down. So left heel and left sitting bone, plugging that whole left leg into the ground. One more breath in your rotation to the right. Good, turn back to face center. Take that right leg and place the right foot outside the right hip. Again, if helpful or if this knee needs it, sit up on something to relieve the right knee's extreme flexion there. Yeah. Then place your left foot on the inside of the right thigh. So it'll look like this from the back here. Right foot outside the hip or up, sitting up. Left foot on the inside of the thigh. Right hand to the left knee. Turn your chest to the left. Left hand's just helping support wherever it needs to. You can lift your right hip and really swivel it up if you like. Extending through the right thigh. So yeah, the right knee, you can lift the right hip and reach the right knee forward and down as you turn your chest left and high. But keep your chest turned left, turn your eyes over your right shoulder and look down to your right knee. Even as you're lifting your right hip. That's right, yeah. That's this odd zigzag. Now, keeping all of that, turn your eyes into your left corner sockets. So you're looking up, slightly up to the left with your eyes, but your head, your nose is pointing to your right, over your right shoulder somewhere. And your heart is turning left and open. And your hips are engaged and you're reaching your right knee forward and down, hugging, plugging into the left sitting bone down. Many things all at once. One more breath. Uncross all of that, including your eyes, and extend your legs forward. Rock your knees left and right. Bend your knees a little forward towards your legs, forward fold towards your legs. Again, just another Paschimottanasana if you like. It can help a little to like rock onto one sitting bone and reach the other wide from it. So you're kind of getting a wider base of your sitting bones, and then forward fold. That can help a little bit. It just gets the flesh of your buttocks out of the way for the forward bend in a weird way. For some reason it can get in the way. If you want a more vigorous version, feel free to grab feet, toes, but just make sure, as best you can, your big toes are forward as much as your little toes are, right? So we're not sickling our feet where our big toes pull back and our little toes point or reach forward. Try and make your big toes, make your feet flat like they're trying to be flat against a wall, especially the big toe side, a little energy there. So that same line that we elongated through the inseams of the legs. Good. Sit up, reach forward, roll back. Now we just did a bunch of twisting, hip opener with the thread the needle or the pigeon. So go ahead and bring your knees up and wrap your hands around both edges of your feet, soles of the feet together. Bound angle pose. Now I know I'm already going over time, and Ashton had to leave, and hopefully he didn't feel too left out for me going over time. In any case, we're doing a quick little bound angle on our backs, pulling our soles of our feet together and towards our heart. And then happy baby, open that up, widen feet out over the knees, and rest your head on the ground, rock left and right. And release your feet to the ground, knock-kneed again with your knees and your arms wide again. Just rest there for a breath. From there, lift your pelvis, move it just a couple inches off to the right, place it on the ground, and then draw both knees over to the left for a stacked knees stacked supine twist. And try to see that your knees are in the same plane as your hips, in the sense that they're perpendicular, your thigh bones are perpendicular to your spine as best they can be. Like you're sitting on a chair sideways. Give that a couple more breaths. Let your legs relax completely. And take it to the other side. Before you go all the way with the knees to the right, move your hips off to the left, off center. So when you swivel your knees to the right, the hips swivel back to center. And your knees, again, at the height of the hips so that they are perpendicular to your spine. And your shin bones, again, perpendicular to your knees. A couple more breaths in this supine twist. Go ahead and come back to center. Move your pelvis back to center. If you want to do Shavasana with legs on something or with your knees bent, if your low back needs more care, feel free to do that. If you'd like to do Shavasana legs long, rest in Shavasana, whatever suitable position works for you. Do anything else, of course, before Shavasana that you need to do. If you ever have low back stuff, it's always good to do Shavasana with your legs, your knees above your hips in some fashion, or a little hip flexion. Let's do 3 heavy sighs here as well. When you're ready, sink into Shavasana after 3 sighs. See how quickly you can soften into complete giving in to gravity. Just keep resting until you hear the bell. Deepen your breath and start to move and stretch. Take your time to turn to one side. And gently make your way up to a seat. And close your eyes and set your hands at your heart. And bow to your heart. Thank yourself for doing the work and your body for giving you the feedback that it's worthwhile. And find gratitude for what you dedicated your practice to. We'll chant a final Om in honor of all that. Inhale. I bow to the light in your heart. It's the same light in my heart. Namaste. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining.